I'm often asked if I can make somebody forget something that happened to them in their past so that they are no longer affected by this event, this memory. Firstly, it's absolutely impossible to permanently erase anything from our memory. Secondly, even if you could erase the memory of an event or a series of events, you would still be left with the symptoms, because it would be absolutely impossible to erase all the connections, all the links to the symptoms that we now experience, to the maladaptive behaviours that are the legacy of past trauma. So the ultimate aim of hypnotherapy is to heal past hurts and remove the strong emotional responses to past events, effectively destroying the ability of memories to trigger symptoms. What happened to us in the past is part of who we are, it's part of our history. Today, I'd like to begin sharing the 6-step process, Trauma to Growth, that helps my entrepreneur clients to heal from their past traumas, from adverse childhood experiences, in order to be able to get to that next level in their business and or in their personal life. There is a loose linear progression between these 6 stages, but when we're using hypnotherapy, we can never be sure of the subconscious connections that exist in somebody's mind, and therefore there's a lot of needing to go with the flow. In addition to that, I work in a very intuitive way, and am not rigidly tied to the order of the process, and we may find that we spend longer on 1 or 2 steps than a couple of the others. Having said that, all 6 steps exist in all the one-to-one VIP programs that I do with my clients. So the first stage is awareness. Awareness of how the childhood trauma, childhood adversity now shows up in your adult life, in your business and or in your personal life. And in this stage we learn strategies to manage the symptoms. So, for example, in an early conversation with a client, we might uncover a potentially long list of symptoms which could include insomnia, OCD, an addiction of some sort, low mood, an inability to switch off and relax. There are potentially many symptoms that an adult will be experiencing after having had childhood adversity, childhood trauma early in their life. So in the first couple of sessions, we become aware and acknowledge that these are symptoms, and that the root causes of these symptoms actually go all the way back to childhood, often early childhood. Once we have that awareness, we together develop some strategies to cope with those symptoms in the short term whilst we are doing the deeper healing work. Stage 2 is all about acceptance, accepting and understanding past wounds and understanding their connection to current issues. So in this stage we explore on a deeper level the connection between those symptoms we have talked about in stage 1 and the specific traumatic events and experiences from the past. For example, that inability to switch off and relax that I mentioned, that is related to an ongoing state of hypervigilance. And many of my clients have told me how they had to be super tuned in to sounds around them 24 hours a day and over extended periods, sometimes over years, in order to keep themselves safe, or perhaps to be alerted and know that they needed to step in and potentially protect somebody else, or try and protect somebody else in the household. So they may have been listening out for the sound of a certain vehicle on the driveway outside. They may have been tuned in to notice any raised voices that usually led to violence of some sort. They might have been listening for the floorboards outside their bedroom creaking, for footsteps of somebody coming in late at night, to hear whether that person was drunk and or angry. So this sort of hypervigilance is hardwired into a child from a very young age, and unless it's addressed in therapy, it's not going to go away. Hence the inability to switch off as an adult, because that need to listen out and to be on your guard is always there in the background. The therapeutic relationship provides a safe space for somebody to talk about all those things that happened, to talk about how they felt, to talk about their fears. In cases where there are not any or not very many conscious memories, then hypnotherapy is a fantastic way of bringing those memories up into our awareness so that they can be addressed. In some cases, a client may need some grounding work and lots of reassurances that at this moment in time they are now safe. Stage 3 is all about healing. It's about healing those past wounds, but also releasing ourselves from the legacy of those events and experiences, and releasing ourselves from the actions and the behaviour of people in our past. So at this point we are aware of all the symptoms that are now being managed with our strategies, and we understand the connections between what's going on for us now that we want to change and what happened to us in the past. Using inner child work and reparenting techniques forms a core part of the healing, and empowering, even retrospectively, our inner child is a very powerful way of diminishing the potency of the triggers that we used to have. And the goal of healing is to be able to talk about events from the past without being re-triggered, without experiencing those intense emotions. Once the healing has taken place, we're ready to move forward and to focus on the next stages. So stage 4 is all about goal setting. Once we have achieved the awareness, acceptance and healing, we're ready to define your future goals and aspirations, and define the action steps that are needed and start taking those steps. I quite often use another framework for the goal setting process. I created the power tool for goals, and it reminds us of 5 essential ingredients for setting and smashing goals. So the word power is an acronym, and each of the letters is a reminder of one of those essential ingredients. P is to picture your goal. So we do a lot of visualization in our work together. O is to think about taking one step at a time and breaking each step down into baby steps. W is when, to think about the time frame when you want something to be completed by, when you want to start working on a particular goal. E is to remind us to evaluate, to measure, check in, how's it going, does anything need tweaking? And R is a constant reminder to get your reason why clear and make sure that the goal you're setting is for the right reasons. So that forms the body of stage 4. And the final 2 steps are all about growth, your personal growth and your business growth. It's time to revisit all your goals and identify if there are any gaps between where you are now and where you want to be. We'll use hypnotherapy to rehearse and anchor any mindset or behavioural changes that you need to make, and you may begin a process of journaling in order to keep track of what is working and what isn't working, so you can continue to make tweaks. So now you have created the foundations, you have made a clean slate for yourself, you're well on your way into your new chapter and to living trauma-free